So we're sharing the
Stop
brush.
Stop it, Gabe. We don't.
We do. We're going to be doing a delousing episode next. Somewhat absent minded. When
So nasty.
I can't help that I am so nasty. I just can't keep my hands. Looks like a thumb.
No, you don't.
Got rolls up on my neck.
Stop, Gabe.
Running through the brick.
Quit talking about yourself like that.
Cratered. Why'd you feel the need to do that? I'm scared.
Why?
I'm just kidding. I'm excited. I hate that refresher. I'm gonna drink my Starbucks refresher real quick.
Ida.
Huh? Where did you see? Oh. Never mind. What? I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't even know who Alexis is.
No, there's someone in my story named that. Okay, I need you to do me a favor, Olivia. I need you to not read my stuff.
I'll try not to.
But I don't want you to... I was like, what is that?
What was that?
What are you watching? Oh.
Just hair. And dead skin.
Ew.
Nobody wants to see that. Because we need to start doing it to where we're not like this. You know what I mean?
I guess.
So I'm gonna do it.
Hi, everybody.
Hello. It's my time to do my story. Should we switch seats? Is that the storytelling seat?
No.
Okay. Aight.
Clandestine podcast. It's such a very nice podcast. Ooh, yeah.
All right, that was special.
That's our new theme song.
No, it's not.
Do 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 do.
Never will be. I'm gonna now swallow this key. Olivia's going to have to.
Just stop what you're saying.
Whatever, dude.
Okay, let's.
Oh!
Oh, thank you.
Cressy Bear with the primer.
You did not have to do that.
You just took
you.
money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and put it to ours.
Thank you.
Wow. We can eat this week.
Stop it, dude. Not me, dude. Dude.
This is what happens off stream. Dude, thank you so much for
Yes,
that primer.
thank you.
Wow.
Whoa.
I think we're up to 4 subbed wubbards now.
I'm one of them.
Oh, yeah. Still counts. Hey.
Hey.
Oh, my liver. Dude, you know what I really want to get? I want to get a new computer desk because, right here, I'd love to have my legs actually be able to go under. Go under.
You're man-spreading right now.
I'm not only going to be man-spreading, I'm going to be mansplaining this story. So, if you're not excited, you should be.
You're so cute.
I don't know.
Do the baby.
I don't want to
Do
that.
it. Do it for everybody.
So
Everybody.
stupid. Everybody, take my hand. Do you remember crying to that song?
The Backstreet Boys?
No. Eminem.
I don't.
Through the
listen to them.
storm, everywhere.
We
You
should do a
did.
true crime episode about freaking Eminem.
What does that even mean?
Because of that song, 97 Bonnie and Clyde. That song is disturbing.
Olivia.
That's why I don't like Eminem. That song.
Oh my gosh, dude. You didn't even listen to him growing up.
I heard that song when I was in like 4th grade or something, and I was like, what is this?
Why don't you go do a whining podcast about it? You'd be good at that.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna eat.
Okay, let's get started.
Now I'm gonna eat a burger. What are you doing?
I have to say the disclaimer.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. You're out of your mind.
You know I get a case of the giggles before the
Yeah.
recording starts. No, don't do it. Click start.
Hello and welcome to the Clandestine Podcast. My name is Olivia.
And my name is Gabriel.
And on this podcast, we cover true crime and other horror content. And sometimes the topics we talk about can get pretty graphic.
Wayo.
So listener discretion is advised. Remember that all information we cite is public information and sources should be in the description, but since this is Gabe's episode, who knows?
Oh my.
We have the utmost respect for survivors, victims, and their families.
Okay, and just a disclaimer. I do
You don't ever.
I do.
I have to badger him all week to send me the sources.
I'm a busy individual.
And you don't.
I'm working in I gotta make sure a house full of people are safe and sound.
Yeah.
Well,
Gabe, I know you were kind of struggling to pick your story for today.
oh, I did, because I went to... I'm not going to say what it is, because maybe if I... Okay, the story I was going to do didn't have easily accessible information, and not really enough to where I would have... been able to do something on it. So I kind of switched my story... but ended up getting something pretty good instead, I think. So, yeah.
And you know what I've kind of thought about before? And
Huh.
I can cut this out later.
No.
It doesn't make sense. But I would really like to do... Maybe it's something we could do on the YouTube channel or something like that. But if we did like a... I really want to do the weird history. I think that would be really fun. Those would be fun, like, quick videos maybe to do.
Yes.
But I also think that it would be really nice if we get, like, on YouTube, maybe if we make YouTube videos of, like, the darker episodes that we don't like to get into as much on this show. You know what I mean?
Like a separate
Yeah.
kind of... Okay.
Or maybe something like that. I don't know.
Maybe we'll do a poll and you guys can let us know what
Ooh,
you
yeah,
think.
that's a good idea.
Should definitely keep this in here for
Okay.
the stream. But I am excited to tell you guys a story because it is pretty roller coaster-ish, I would
Ooh.
say. It gives you...
How'd you find it?
Well, I did my my classic list of ancient serial... Listen, I'm telling you, there's some stuff on there that I've come across that is wild and I've never heard of. I've never heard anybody else bring it up. I've been
On
finding...
Wikipedia?
Yeah, on Wikipedia. I've been finding great stories from there.
A list of serial killers?
Yeah. So many, and it's, worldwide, obviously, dating back to as much data has been recorded on that. So yeah, that's where I got this one. But it's a juicer, I'll tell you that. So I'm excited. Well,
He told his mother earlier that he had a juicer.
she said, please don't ever say that again. I was like, no, it's just... She didn't get it. It's whatever.
Well, you said it without the context of, like, you were talking about the podcast, so you just said, I have a juicer, Mom.
Yeah, now looking back on it, wasn't the smartest idea. Okay, everybody, we've bantered
Calm
long.
down.
Calm down. Keep your pants on. Let's get
Alright.
started.
Let's get started.
Listeners of the Clandestine Podcast, hello. How
Hi.
are you? Nice to be with you again. Today, I have the pleasure of bringing you the story of Carl Eugene Watts, a.k.a. Coral. That's from where he was from, their dialect, kind of.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Coral.
Coral. No, not
Jersey?
not Rick from Breaking Bad.
Do I know him?
If for anybody that's watched Breaking Bad, in the prison when...
Gabe!
Okay, I almost just really spoiled it. I'll just say, in the prison when he's yelling Carl's name, he's like, Coral! So that's why I thought that was funny.
We're watching Breaking Bad. We're only on season 2.
I said The Walking Dead. Did I say Breaking Bad? I don't know.
Yeah, you said Breaking Bad.
Oh,
I
meant The Walking Dead.
Oh, you can spoil out. I don't care about The Walking Dead.
For anyone, no, good. I don't want to spoil it for them. So, Carl Eugene Watts, a.k.a. Coral, by his close friends and family, was born November 7th, 1953 in Killeen, Texas.
Back in the day.
All right. He was born to parents Richard and Dorothy Watts. His father was somewhat of a low-ranking member of the U.S. Army. He wasn't really around much in their life due to being in the Army and trying to just support their family in general. His mother taught art at a local kindergarten. So, a pretty sound, strong family base, we'd like to think.
Mm-hmm.
Sadly, though, before Watts was even 2 years old, and I'll refer to Carl Eugene Watts just as Watts in this because I'm not going to say his name every time. Sadly, though, before Watts was even 2 years old, his parents decided to separate. Just because of, it was financial issues from what I read, and also some marital problems, of course, but money was a problem and it just wasn't working out. So, his father, after that point, was really no longer a part of their lives. He kind of checked out, just didn't really want anything to do with them. And him and his sister and his mother, they ended up moving to Inkster, Michigan. They were there for about a year or two, so this is late 50s, early 60s when they moved there. And about, I think, maybe 2 years after moving to Inkster, Michigan, his mother remarried in 1962 to just a local mechanic named Norman Caesar. And they went on to have 2 daughters together. So now his mother is kind of starting this new family, starting this new life. So she started to notice Watts always seemed to struggle, and he was kind of noticed as the odd one out or the weird kid of the bunch. When he was 13, he actually ended up contracting meningitis. If you don't know what meningitis is, it pretty much breaks down the membranes around your brain, so like your brain's not protected. People can go into comas, die.
Yeah, that's no joke.
Yeah, it can cause brain damage. And he was actually, him having meningitis, that caused him to be held back for most of his 8th grade year. So with him already being a shy, awkward, nervous kid, that definitely didn't help. Yeah. Everyone's like, why are you, when you're in 8th grade, oh, I'm 12, or I turned 13. Well, he's going to be 14, maybe 15, so that could also make him feel more excluded. But he did overcome the meningitis, and he had a really hard time getting back on track with school. He started getting F's on his report cards. He was getting into behavioral trouble. Couldn't stop talking during class, stuff like that. The kids would get in trouble for.
Do we know how he got meningitis, or I guess
it
doesn't really matter? But
no, as far as what I saw, there wasn't anything that said how he got meningitis. I don't really know how people exactly contract meningitis. It's a virus, right?
But I think we get vaccinated for it now, so.
Yeah, but one of my family members passed away from meningitis.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Like recently?
No, we were Chelsea.
Oh,
that's what
really? Meningitis?
Yeah, that's what she passed away from. So like I said, he recovered from the meningitis, had a really hard time getting back on track in school. He was failing classes, getting in trouble. And he also had a 3rd grade reading level at the age of 16. So it was hard for him. He was lacking academically a lot. And of course, with all of that and kids being the way they are, the bullying ensued from him being outcasted this way and seen as what people would call him as he was the dumb kid at school. That's what he was referred to. So what doctors suspected was that Carl actually suffered brain damage from having meningitis, which elevated his odd, strange behavior and his inability to participate at school. So, they're in Inkster, Michigan. his mom is raising two children that she just had with this new guy. So she's trying to get her life back on track. She's trying to find a new job. You know, she's making this marriage work and just kind of find her place in Michigan now. So Watts actually ended up spending a lot of time with his grandmother, just because he was kind of, he was like the ugly redheaded stepchild.
Yeah.
You know,
Metaphorically
they didn't.
speaking.
Yeah, of course, they didn't have time for him. So he spent a lot of time with his grandmother. His grandma said that he was, yes, an odd, quiet, shy kid, but he was also a big fan of hunting and skinning rabbits at a very young age.
Okay.
Now, maybe this was commonplace for kids to do back then, but he did it unsupervised, which in my mind, this definitely could serve as an issue, but that's just me.
To me, that sounds like hunting and skinning. That sounds like, to me, torturing animals.
It sounds like torturing animals.
Like,
Also,
that's just kind of a nicer way to say that.
and now listen, I'm not saying this is the case, but that also sounds like the recipe for a serial killer. But I don't know.
Ooh.
I don't know, dude. I'm just...
It is part of the, I think it's called the Dark Triad.
Is that a...
It's like bedwetting and like cruelty to animals. It's like Mindhunter. It's a Mindhunter thing.
Oh, huh. I didn't know that. Interesting. And if you guys didn't know that, now you know it too.
Well, go look it up and then you'll know it, because
Yeah,
I don't think I
of
said
course.
it right.
So, but his grandma didn't have a problem with it. She thought, well, hey, he's interested in something. Maybe he'll be a hunter,
Yeah.
which...
Yeah, it could blossom into something fairly normal, but I mean, framing it as hunting and skinning instead of
and also
what it really
maybe
is.
Maybe back then that wasn't, maybe people didn't look at that as like, this really introverted, shy, awkward kid that is academically
has a
lacking.
penchant for violence.
He just likes to skin, because I feel now if something like that was happening, be like, okay, we're gonna take you to get...
Yeah.
And then,
Well, and I think the fact that it's unsupervised too. If it was in a controlled environment,
if he was
then,
with
like,
his grandpa,
okay, yeah.
and his grandpa's showing him how to like use the skin and do something with it. No,
Yeah.
he was just unsupervised killing rabbits. Which, why would you kill a rabbit, dude? They're so cute.
They're so cute.
So, give me 1 second. Let me get back to where I am.
Okay, I'm just fidgeting. So.
Perfect. So like I said, his grandma didn't have a problem with it. So I think at this point now we can say that there is some obvious brain damage with Watts, and this is not helping this young kid become acclimated to the world. And with his mother kind of just casting him to the wayside, raising her, they had 2 daughters with the mechanic that she married, focusing on her own marriage so much, Carl Watts began to feel like this outcast in the world, from school and all that, and in his home life. So where does he fit in? You know, he's having such a sad start already. But things can get better, right? Right?
Hopefully.
Yeah, of course. So like I said, due to his school and home life not being the greatest, he actually did end up taking a job as a local paper boy shortly after his 16th birthday.
Oh, good for him.
Good
Taking
for
the
him.
initiative.
Yes. Wants to start saving up that money for who knows. So,
Oh, you're so cute. You put an exclamation point.
yeah. You know, he would ride his bike around the local neighborhoods, making an honest day's pay. Just flinging papers, hitting the doors, waving to the elderly, who knows. But one of these days on his routes, he actually walked the paper up to the door and knocked, which you don't...
Yeah, you don't
do that. You just throw it. You ride your bike, throw it from your bag.
It would take forever if you did
Yeah,
that.
you would be making money. So the woman that lived in this house, Joan Gabe, she was a 26-year-old woman. She opened the door, and Watts began striking her repeatedly
Whoa.
upon opening the door, and attempted to sexually assault her.
Oh!
Yeah.
Whoa, that took
I know.
a turn really
I
quickly.
didn't mean to curveball you like that.
Whoa.
But yes, he made a very, very
He was
poor
like
decision.
punching her?
Yeah, just repeatedly knocked her to the ground and got on top of her and attempted to sexually assault her. I mean, she had a normal. She started screaming, yelling for help, and this is the small neighborhood he was in doing this, which actually ended up scaring Watts, and he left the house. You know, he fled from the house, got back on his bike, but he continued. He continued. But he fled the house and just continued his paper route as if nothing happened. He finished like the rest of the day's work for his paper route.
1287, 1286.
Lack of remorse. Oh my gosh! Also, real quick, Chrissy Bear, that's sweet. You got the. I'm glad this works. Now you have the little sub icon next to your name. That's awesome. So yeah, he just gets back on his bike, la-di-da, like nothing happened. Obviously, she called the cops.
Right.
And it was really...
I would do the same.
Yeah, of course, I would hope everybody would. It was really easy for the cops to find him because he was the only paper boy en route that day. So she said, the paper boy assaulted me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's find out who it is. They found him shortly after this attack and apprehended him. Now, when they brought him down to the station and asked him, you know, Carl Watts, why did you commit this assault on this woman? His response was, I just felt like beating someone up. Okay, don't get me wrong. I have bad days where, yeah, I'm like, someone cuts me off in traffic, almost caused an accident. I'm like, oh, I'll kick their butt.
Right.
But I don't follow them and proceed to kick their butt. I just let it go, maybe woo-saw, I don't know. So, he actually had to go to court for this offense, and they deemed that he was mentally unstable. Which, okay, honestly, yes, I think that's a good...
Okay, honestly, yeah.
Honestly, dude, yes. No, but seriously, I think that was the right decision because clearly the doctors that were working there that probably did background stuff on him earlier childhood were like, okay, something's wrong here.
Yeah.
And he was sent to Lafayette Clinic. It was a mental hospital in Detroit, which actually they're kind of like a renowned... Well, they were, at least at that time, a renowned mental health institution, whatever. So while he was at Lafayette Clinic, he was diagnosed with a developmental disability. They said it on the... I changed it, but it said he had mental retardation. And had a very low IQ of 68. So he was struggling, of course. I mean, that was apparent, obviously, from schooling already at that point and just his interaction with others. Now, a police investigator, now I don't know if this was different back then. They didn't really specify if this was like, if it was like a parole officer or whatever it might have been that was there talking to him, kind of checking up on him. He reported that Watts had a delusional thought process at that age already. Kind of his world was the world, if that makes sense. And this is actually a quote from this investigator. He said he was actually very, very intelligent with an excellent memory. Those are the officer's words, like I said, not mine. And then he was released from Lafayette Clinic on November 9th, 1969. So he spent about 5 months in there. So 16 years old, had to go through this stint at the mental institution for assaulting this woman. They did counseling, therapy, all that with him and stuff. And hopefully, you know, he's able to bounce back now, right?
You know who I'm kind of being reminded of so far? With the callousness, the maybe sociopathic behavior we're seeing at such a young age.
Who?
Is the kid from the math teacher murder episode.
Oh.
Yeah. And then with the assaulting women.
Yeah.
Older women.
Strange.
Yeah. That's what I'm being reminded of so far. Were you thinking of somebody else?
No. I didn't know who you were going to say. So, of course, Watts went back to school. That was something they issued to him, finish your education. Yes, you have this thing that kind of holds you back, but you are able to still be educated. You can still make something of your life. So he went back to high school, and Watts ended up using this untethered rage in somewhat of a healthier manner. Let me explain. He expressed and let out all of his anger and used sports as that outlet football
Perfect,
specifically,
yeah.
right? It's, you tackle someone,
Yeah.
and that's okay. That's the point of the game, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Even though he still struggled with academics, his skill in football was kind of that conduit that helped him make it through. And he actually ended up graduating high school in 1973, and not only that, but received a full scholarship to Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee. Things are looking good for Mr. Watts. He's working on that rage. Football's his passion now. He's got the scholarship. It's great. Like I say, things are on the up and up for him. The tides seem to be shifting for him. And you'd be right if you're thinking the same. But the tides are a mile out, like right before a tsunami.
Wow.
Do you like that one?
Yeah. You are just so good at the creative writing.
Thanks.
I'm just like, information. You got all these fun little phrases that you throw in there.
I want it to be tangible,
Yeah, it's good.
Also, I said that because when a tsunami happens, the tide goes out like a mile.
Right.
And that's how you know. Okay, so disaster's coming.
If you didn't get that, disaster is coming.
If you're too dumb to know what a tsunami is. No.
This is the calm before the storm.
So Watts ended up experience. Let me go back. Let me go back. Blah, blah. Watts ended up experiencing a pretty severe leg injury about 3 months into his stay at Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee, and he had to take the season off from playing football. It sucks because, once again, he's stuck inside his mind again without an outlet for this anger. 3 months after that leg injury and having to take the rest of the season off, he's actually expelled from this college for stalking and harassing women. There were also rumors... Excuse me, I understand the burping now. There were also rumors at that time going around that he was the culprit of a woman that was murdered on campus, but ultimately not enough evidence to convict him. People were just saying that because they knew, it's like Watts the stalker, He was kind of the campus creep.
Are we going to get more information on that?
Stick around. I cannot confirm or deny that.
All right.
So with this happening, Watts ended up moving back home with his mother, and only after a year of coming home, kind of getting his life back on track, he enrolled in Western Michigan University. So he still wanted to get this college education. So good for him, right? Just don't stalk women.
Yeah, maybe you should do an online school.
Well, I don't know if in the early 70s that was an option. Shortly after his arrival there, he's not able to play football. He had this injury to his leg that he was still recovering from, and it just wasn't an option. The women on campus began making complaints about being stalked by random men.
Huh.
It was usually happening at night, so they couldn't tell if it was the same person or not. So, who knows who
scary.
it was. Watts also started stealing plywood from the campus for unknown reasons, and he was caught, but they never charged him with theft. I kind of wanted to throw that in there too, just to explain or just give attention to his lack of impulse. Mm-hmm. Why are you stealing plywood?
Yeah.
It would have been
that's a good point.
Right. Like, what are you building a shed or something? I don't understand. Just go to Home Depot. I don't know. Then again, I don't have that mindset, so I don't understand that fully. I try to, but I just threw that in there because why are you stealing? Like I said, never got charged for it. They were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But on the night of October 30th, 1974, Watts could no longer hold back whatever madness had been stirring in his mind. He went to the house of 20-year-old Gloria Steele, which, I'm guessing that he had been stalking her because that was his thing.
Right.
And that's how he knew where she lived. I don't think it was coincidence that he just stumbled upon a house, knock, knock. Oh, there's a woman here. Okay, that was not, he was probably planning this out. It was premeditated. There's no proof of that actually happening, but it just seems most logical to me.
Well, he did kind of do that with the first lady. Right?
Okay, fair enough.
Well,
actually, who knows?
I think you're right that he probably did stalk her, but I just wanted to point that out just in case.
Yeah, but then again, who knows? Maybe he knew doing his maybe he saw her.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
She was out in the yard or something. Good point, though. Like I said, no proof of that, just my thought. So he knocked on the door of Mrs. Steele and asked if she could help him with getting a hold of his friend named Charles. Now, maybe you're asking yourself, why would she just be so willing to do this? Why would she let him in? Well, despite Watts having these troubles, he was a pretty handsome young man. You'll see on the Instagram the pictures of that. And he was actually able to handle himself pretty well in one-on-one conversations. He just was not good at group settings. Struggled with that. But one-on-one, definitely, even though he had his issues, he knew how to handle a conversation. So he did. He entered the home, was planning to use the phone to call his friend Charles. Mm-hmm. I'm air quoting for those on Spotify. And once he was inside, he brutally tortured and eventually ended up murdering Gloria.
No.
She was reportedly stabbed 33 times.
Oh my gosh.
So,
whenever you hear of stabbing that's more than like 6, it's like, why are you stabbing so much?
I mean, of course, stabbing's wrong.
No, yeah, why are you stabbing at all? But
to stab someone that many times.
33 times. Like, well, I'm not gonna do it right now, but like, count to 30. Count to 33. It's a lot of stabs.
And, I mean, we were watching Criminal Minds one time, and they were talking about, the strength it takes to, that motion of doing that is not just something that's just like, poke, like, no, it's, but then again, that, for him, that was that's the only way, I guess, in his mind, that's how he relieved himself. That's how he did that.
Yeah, well, he didn't have football anymore.
No,
to get his aggression out.
Exactly.
So this was the route he took, unfortunately.
Now, luckily, you guys get to know this, but he was not caught for that. He did not get caught for doing that.
Well, how do we know that he did it?
Well, stick along.
Tell me now!
Like I said, roller coaster, man.
Woo!
So, with Watts being known as a campus creeper to most women, a lot of them told police it was most likely him.
Okay, yeah.
They said, oh, it's Watts, it's got to be him. And due to his violent criminal history, they did bring him in for interrogation. When they questioned him about the murder of Gloria Steele, he acted as if he never even heard of her murder, but did confess to physically assaulting other women, over a dozen to be exact.
Oh, okay.
So, I just thought
But that one, nothing to do with that one.
Right? It's like that, and why are you admitting to attacking other women? Over a dozen. That's what he said to them.
You're talking to the police, right?
He's like, for real? Oh, crap. I mean, I just
Wait a minute, you guys are police?
Hold on a second. So, but at the same time, since he was just claiming that, it's not like because he said that, all right, you're going to jail.
Yeah.
You can't do that. And he completely denied any knowledge, even knowing that woman was murdered. So, and there was no evidence. They went nothing. Also, well, I'll save that for later. Actually, I lied. Hold up. So after they interrogated him, campus medical staff, they were like, he needs to have a psychiatric evaluation for admitting something like that. He needs to go. And he was sent to Kalamazoo State Hospital. While he was being evaluated there, the doctors determined that Watts had zero sense of remorse for anything. Sorry, let me go back. While he was being evaluated there, the doctors had diagnosed... oh my gosh, wow. Whoa, hold on. Oh, that's why I did that, sorry. My apologies. While being evaluated, the doctors then determined that Watts had zero sense of remorse for anything or whatever he told them that he'd done. Thus, he was diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder. Huh. That sounds about right.
You don't say.
So, when he was also, and I didn't say this, when he was being interrogated, they they were going to bring him in for the trial. They were going to try and put him on trial for murder of Gloria Steele. I think they were just trying to place someone on the murder, and he seemed to be the one, right? But before that happened, and he was aware of that because they told him, like, you're, and he's probably thinking, they're gonna catch me. Like, I know I did it. I told them I didn't, but who else? I lied. So before that trial, he actually attempted to hang himself while he was at Kalamazoo Hospital and reportedly ventured into this deep, deep depression. Like, they really struggled working with him while he was there after his suicide attempt. Although, luckily for him, he never actually had to go to trial for the Gloria Steele murder, like I said, because of the lack of evidence they had on him. Mm-hmm. All they had was people's hearsay. Oh, he's a creep. Like, it was him, but there's no evidence. There was no physical evidence, nothing. But he had to pay for his confession of attacking women on campus, and was deemed not to be safe in society, and was given 1 year in prison. Now, I know earlier I did say, when you confess to something, you can't just be... But I think in the amount of time that it was...
and you had all those testimonies and everything.
Yeah, so more evidence came up about that. They were just sure it was him, which they were right, but they didn't have the evidence, so they wanted to get him for something. Mm-hmm. So he did get a year in prison for confessing to attacking women. He was released in the summer of 1976, and clearly, for Watts, a year in prison is not what he needed. I just think it's crazy how a team of these doctors said that he wasn't safe for society, but only a year later, he's just roaming the streets, a free man. They know what he's capable.
After he's gotten all these tricks from his buddies in the slammer.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's... I'm not going to say trust me like I've been there, but I've talked to a lot of people where they say a prison is...
Well, and you used to work in a low-level jail.
That too. So I kind of do know a little bit. So he's out. It's the summer of 76. He's living his life, and he actually ended up having a romantic relationship with an old friend named Dolores Howard. And yeah, right. And they had a daughter together. But it didn't last long because Mr. Watts is not all there mentally, and due to his violent ways and stuff, it just didn't work out. Although only a few months after separating from Dolores Howard, they weren't married, they were just together and had a kid. Watts ended up marrying a woman named Valeria Goodwill.
Ooh, I love that name. I
know, right? I thought that was such a cool name, Valeria Goodwill. She reported that Watts would have incredibly violent nightmares. He'd wake up screaming, and then he would recount these dreams to Valeria, telling her what they were about. She said he was also really messy. He'd leave a mess wherever he went, if it was food, clothes that would be scattered all throughout the house. And I thought this was pretty strange. She said that he would sit around with a knife and cut up the plants that they had in their house, just leaving plant clippings everywhere. So, okay, whatever, fair enough. Strange behavior. You have nightmares. Crazy dreams sometimes. Sometimes I'm messy. I leave my clothes everywhere. And sometimes we cut up plants with a knife.
No.
Just kidding. That's not normal. See how I did that? So, are things good for Watts right now? Did he find the right woman in his life that could understand him and his peculiar behavior and help him change the course of his heinous past? Of course not. Lest we forget that he murdered a woman. But during this time in his life, nobody knew that happened except for himself. So...
Can you imagine being either of his wives? Like,
and then hearing all this, be like, oh my gosh, like... And that kind of makes you ask, it's like, well, why would you not to be whatever, morbid, but why would you not kill them?
Yeah. We talked about that in the Sam Little episode about, because you said that he had a wife,
That's right, yes, he did.
But he murdered so many women, and it's like, why, what was... I don't want to say.
What's the exception?
Yeah, what's the exception?
I don't know. It's definitely something to think about. I mean, I would love to hear like an explanation on that, because if you don't have any remorse and you're that antisocial.
Well, Ted Bundy too.
And Ted Bundy.
He had a long time like girlfriend or something.
Yeah.
And he had a baby with someone.
Well, wasn't the first girl he was with, she had a kid already?
He had a child from his own loins with someone.
Gotcha, from his own loins. But no, I'm saying his first whatever.
I'm not that interested in Ted Bundy, honestly.
Yeah, it's
so
like
maybe we'll cover it one day. I don't know.
Maybe. So, we're entering like.
Wait.
Oh,
Before we move on, I just want to say that Ted Bundy's granddaughter doxed them on TikTok.
Who?
Whoever, I think Carol Ann Boone, her daughter's daughter.
Really?
Was on TikTok talking about like I have a celebrity in the family, and it was like a bunch of pictures of like her grandmother with Ted Bundy and stuff, and
jeez.
the poor like his actual daughter was like she went off the grid, she changed her name, she doesn't want anybody to like know about her, and then her granddaughter was like, or her daughter was like, here I am.
Wow.
I don't know.
I don't like when people do that. It's gross. Well, luckily this isn't the Ted Bundy story.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm just kidding. This is Carl Watts. So from about 1979 until late 1980s, Ann Arbor, Michigan, and from there until Detroit, they're kind of suffering this crime spree is going on.
Uh-oh.
Women are being attacked. Women are being stalked. No one's able to really see nothing that's going on with it. You know, like I said, these women are being attacked at an alarming rate.
Kind of sounds familiar.
Early April 1980, the police were called to the home of a 17-year-old girl. She had been stabbed twice in the heart and cut repeatedly with an item that kind of resembled a scalpel, and sadly she bled out from the injuries on the sidewalk right outside of her house.
Oh my gosh.
She was a 17-year-old girl, was killed right in front of her house. There was another woman, Glenda Richmond. She was 26 years old, and she was found dead in the doorway of her house, like entering her house. She had 28 stab wounds over her body. Another woman, Rebecca Greer, was also found in the doorway of her house, dead with over 54 stab wounds on her body.
54.
So, seeing the similarities in these attacks, that these women, being stabbed and everything like that, the Ann Arbor Task Force began to search for whoever was killing these women, and it was led by Detective Paul Bunsen. Although they didn't have anything to work on other than the bodies of the women. There was no evidence, there was no witnesses. They were pretty much shooting in the dark. They couldn't find anything. Also, there's no sexual assault going on.
Oh.
Which is definitely, and which is odd, because normally you would see this, and yes, there's usually sexual assault.
Well, even in, the context of what we're talking about today, it seems like with Watts, that was something that was part of his, thing,
How do you mean?
Like, he sexually assaulted the first lady, or attempted to.
Yeah.
Did he not? Was that the only attempted?
Yep.
Oh, that was the only time
that was the only time he did that. And, I mean, okay, if we're just being real here, I mean, he's a 16-year-old kid. Maybe he's whatever, So like I said, they don't have any evidence. Nobody's seen anybody that's done this, but another police officer, Sergeant James Arthurs, contacted the task force that was looking for this guy, and he actually brought Watts' name up due to dealing with him in the past, and noted that he could definitely be a suspect in these murders. But at the time, Watts was working at a trucking company with his father-in-law. He was raising a child, co-parenting with the one woman, with Dolores, that he was with. And he was happily married with Valeria. That sounds like I just said a disease, but sorry. I don't know, I just thought that. So how could he fit this in his busy schedule to go out and do these things? What? Yes, he's a prime suspect, of course, but where is he getting the time to just go slaughter women? I don't know. But from 1979 to 1980, there was actually many women that met a similar fate and lost their lives. I'm going to read these off just to kind of explain to you what's going on here. October 8th, 1979, Peggy Pachimera, she was 22, was strangled outside of her home. October 31st, 1979, Jeannie Klein, she's 44, she was stabbed at this place called Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan, which I think they did, what I was reading, they said they would have like fairs and stuff there, and this was also on the night of Halloween. There wasn't a specific report, but I think something was going on at the farm that night, and it was kind of like a spree attack. Gotcha. So she was stabbed. March 11th, 1980, Hazel Knopf, 23, she was strangled. Denise Dunmore, 23, strangled. Shirley Small, which actually that was the 17-year-old girl that was stabbed in the heart outside of her house. Linda Monteiro, 27, she was strangled. Glenda Richmond, who we talked about, was stabbed. And Rebecca Huff, 20 years old, was stabbed. Rebecca Huff is actually kind of important in this story. You'll see why here in a little bit. So, same year, still 1980, it's November, getting a little colder out. Just a warning, this is pretty graphic. 63-year-old woman, Lena Bennett, was found hanging in her garage, from her garage. You know, like the metal thing that... she was reportedly sexually assaulted and choked to death. I bring that up too because now the task force that's working on this is kind of hit with a curveball. Yeah. Which is the sexual assault. The guy they're looking for, this killer, had only been murdering these women. He wasn't sexually assaulting them, but now out of nowhere, this older woman is sexually assaulted.
But how do we know that it's the same person? Like, why would you even assume that that's the same person? Because she's so much older than the rest of them, and
no. What I'm saying is now they're confused now. Yeah. They're questioning if there's another person that's also.
Yeah, because that's what it looks like to me.
Yes, right, and that's
that it wouldn't be the same person.
And that's what they're questioning now. They don't know if there's another person doing this, if it's just one person, but why would it be if his motive the whole time has been murder, but now there's sexual assault? Yeah. So they're confused. They're definitely struggling here to find out leads and information on this. Local papers began to nickname this person as the Sunday Morning Slasher. I'm going to be honest with you. I went on Google News looking for old newspaper things, scoured Google, other things, watched other videos. I don't know why they called him that.
Really?
I don't. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that, well, go ahead. If you want real quick, look up October 8th, 1979. Because if it's a Sunday, then I'm guessing all these other days are Sunday. But 1979.
Click on it.
It was a Monday. So, listen, I'm sorry I cannot provide you with that information. I looked. I really did. I don't know why they called him that, but maybe it was, who knows? Maybe that's when the murders were being, maybe that's when the murders were being released to the paper. I don't know, but that's, and I honestly.
But there's no news on Sundays.
Even better. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just ballparking here. Also, I hate when they do that, when they give these people names. Yeah. I understand you're in media and you're reporting it and stuff, but it's like, I feel like someone like that, it would just give them like, ooh,
Yeah. And
this
like,
is who I am
I'm
now.
sorry, but Sunday Morning Slasher is like kind of a cool name. Like,
And I'm sorry, right? As wrong as this is, like
that would be a good like horror movie, you know.
Exactly. So now everyone's on high alert in Ann Arbor and Detroit. And they're trying to stay safe from this evil, mysterious killer. Shortly after the murder of Lena Bennett, the last one we were just talking about, this is still the month of November. This woman's name wasn't taken down, but it was around like 5 a.m. in Ann Arbor, Michigan. I'm not really sure what she was doing, walking around the streets, but she started noticing a man was following her in a car. And she instantly started to panic because who wouldn't when a serial killer is
Right.
on the loose? That preys on women.
Or even just in general, like, why are you following me?
Hell, I'd be scared if if I noticed a car following me. I get scared when that happens when I'm in my car and another car is following me. But she was smart. She ran and hid in a doorway of like a building, and eventually was able to contact the police. Somebody was in the building and let her in to phone the police. So they didn't. I'm guessing the police. Now they didn't say this. I'm guessing they didn't instantly jump to, oh, this is the guy. This is the Sunday Morning Slasher.
Right.
They just thought maybe it's some creep just following this girl around. So they kind of like slowly came to where she was at, and they watched him. And this man was driving around in a frenzy. He was speeding, and he actually got out of his car, running around. To what they said, this man was enraged. He was so mad that he couldn't find this girl he was following. He was flailing his arm, like he was pissed that he couldn't find this girl, right? And they didn't know, was he looking for something or someone? I don't know. But the police stopped this man, and it was no other than Carl Watts. Yep, it was him.
Oh my gosh.
All right? Real shocker.
What a lunatic.
Yeah. So they searched his vehicle, and they found multiple screwdrivers, some wood filing tools, but they hit the jackpot when they looked in the back seat and found a dictionary that had "Rebecca is a lover" carved into the cover.
Ooh, that'd be like a good name for a song.
Right, Rebecca is a lover. It was carved onto the front of the dictionary, and they found out that this book belonged to no other than Rebecca Huff,
Oh.
the 20-year-old
Yeah.
woman who was stabbed in September to death. She was one of the victims in this murder spree that was taking place. So, let me explain this. Watts was arrested there for using an expired license. That's what they brought him in for. They weren't saying, oh, we're arresting you for the murder of Mrs. Huff. Like they had him on the expired license, so they brought him in. So that discovery of finding that book would play a bigger part. They're like, maybe we can get him. So they took him into the station. The police interrogated Watts about the murders, but he remained solemnly adamant about knowing nothing about these murders happening. And if that sounds familiar, yeah. How did he act with Gloria Steele? I didn't know that happened. I wasn't aware of that. Just acting, once again, showing no remorse. Had no clue that these women are being murdered, whatever. Sadly, they couldn't keep him due to a lack of evidence. Yes, he was arrested for the expired license, but realistically, it's probably a fine or something.
Yeah.
But this task force, they were sure that Watts was their man.
But I don't understand, if they had the book, why they couldn't have elaborated on that.
I mean,
Because that directly is like a connection to a murdered woman.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as that, why that wasn't enough evidence to get him for that, not entirely sure, but it wasn't. Because, like I said, they let him go.
Maybe because this is back in the day, too, so it's like...
And I'm sure, he may have said something along the lines of, oh, it was a woman I used to know. I don't,
Yeah.
So...
I'm writing a song.
I'm writing a song about a breakup. So, like I said, this task force that was working on this case, they were very certain that Watts was their man, and they decided to keep a close eye on him, but not close enough. Like they were setting up cars outside his house, all that stuff, which that's not illegal, because maybe they were just patrolling in that area.
Yeah.
But Watts got fed up with this task force watching his every move, and he decided to move to Texas in 1981 just to get away from it all. He needed a...
By himself or with his family?
Well, I'm glad you asked that. His wife, actually, who he got a divorce with before leaving for Texas, the police actually questioned her, and she stated, I thought this was really interesting, it was really strange when Carl and I would have sex, and he would almost immediately leave for hours on end in the middle of the night after we engaged in sex. So I'm sure this task force is just like, oh my god, like, it's so obviously him, but there's no evidence. You can't. I mean, one, that quote too that she gave.
That's why they weren't sexually assaulted. Oh my gosh.
Crazy. So he was able to have sex, and maybe still that wasn't a thing he was. Who knows? I mean,
those two acts are definitely connected.
And it's just like reading that almost kind of like made me shudder. I was like,
yeah.
Ew, you
Yeah.
have sex with your wife, and that's still like you are so sick in your head that is not enough, and you go out and murder people. Or is like the thrill of that is what I don't. It's disgusting.
Ew.
Yeah. So this guy is, allegedly this guy's pretty twisted. Whatever you might think, they called him One-Eyed Willie. Great comment. So yeah, I'm sure this task force is just like, why did he go to Texas? Because we could have got him. But Detective Bunton, the guy leading this task force, did not give up. He actually sent Watts' files over to Houston police so that they were aware of what was going on with him, that he was a suspect in this case. But take a deep breath, let your shoulders down, because on May 23rd, 1982, Watts is caught. He is caught in the act in Texas. Yes. He actually broke into the home of Lori Lister and Melinda Aguilar. He broke into their house, ended up binding them so that they couldn't use their hands. Probably didn't say specifically, but I'm guessing he probably just tied their hands behind their backs. And his plan was he was going to drown them in the bathtub. Luckily, these women fought to stay alive and escaped. The woman, Melinda Aguilar, actually ran out of the bathroom and jumped from her balcony. No hands, jumped out over her balcony onto like the sidewalk down below. She did suffer injuries, but survived and escaped. And Lister, the other woman there, survived because when that happened, it was so sudden. Watts fled the house out of fear, because the other woman had escaped. Didn't expect her to jump off the balcony. So ultimately, Watts was caught and arrested. But that same night, a woman in one of the neighboring apartments where they lived, Michelle Mayday, was found dead from being drowned in her bathtub. Really sad. So they've got him on this. Now they've got him on, what he did was burglary. So now they've got him on burglary and attempted murder, because they can't prove that he drowned Michelle Mayday in the bathtub, even though the women said he said he was going to drown us in the bathtub. Okay, that's just, once again, that's another, they're just saying that maybe they had the bath water ran already. Ridiculous. He's getting too many chances. So when everything's getting arraigned for him in court, it's all getting set up, this strange bargain kind of takes place. Watts is in the hot seat. He's going to get cooked for this. But an attorney Ira Jones offers him a plea bargain, right? She says if he were to confess to other murders from the past, because she was aware what was going on with him at the task force, everything like that, he would only receive the burglary and attempted murder for the situation with Aguilera and Lister. Surprisingly, he agreed to this. Essentially, if he confessed to the murders he was suspected of committing, he had immunity to them. For those of you on Spotify, Olivia's giving me a look right now.
What?
In complete shock, and I thought the same. I'm like,
wait, okay, repeat that whole thing again to make sure I'm not missing anything.
This attorney, Ira Jones, offered him a plea bargain that if he confessed to the other murders from the past, that he would only receive this burglary and attempted murder for the situation with the two women that he tied up and tried to drown in the bathtub. And he agreed. Now...
What?
Dude, you're on that roller coaster, aren't you? Because I was when I was reading this. I was just like, how is that? Why would that even be an option for this guy?
What are his, charges for this? Like, life in prison?
We'll get there. So, he agreed to this. Of course he, well, who wouldn't, right? And this attorney was doing this because she thought that if he were to confess to the murders he committed, she could bring closure. Oh my God. Can't fucking talk. Excuse my language. She thought that if she did this, have him confess to these murders, she could bring closure to the families of some of the 50 unsolved murders.
Oh!
In Houston.
Okay. That's what they want. Closure. Not I'm sure they want closure, but they want this man, they want justice. What do you mean?
Now, I know...
And also, he could just be saying, I know you didn't like the documentary, but The Confession Killer, he could just be talking, you know what, I'm also the Zodiac Killer, we're at it.
Yeah, so, now, I don't know if you caught the tail end, because you heard that, but I'll say this once more. Bring closure to the families of some of the 50 unsolved murders in Houston.
Yeah, what about Michigan?
Yeah. She's just asking... She's having him confess to murders that happened in Houston. She's not even talking about Michigan.
And he wasn't in Houston for that long, right? When this happened? So he's just confessing to murders that he didn't do.
Well, he was there for a couple years. But... I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Gosh.
Story's got still got some more info here. I guess I'm kicking that. Let me get back on track here. So, Watts ended up explaining that he attacked 19 women in total, murdering 13 of them. So, not 50.
Okay.
But 13. He confessed to 13 murders.
Wow. So admirable.
I know, right? What a good guy.
Yeah.
Way to step up, Carl. Really good dude. So by September 3rd, 1982, Watts had confessed to over 80 murders from the places he had lived in and traveled to, but refused to give any details because he wouldn't have that same immunity that he had, that attorney Ira Jones gave him.
Good job.
So when he's in court...
Good job, Ira.
When he's in court, yeah, he confessed to other things, but didn't give details to them because, yeah, almost as this sick kind of pride, yeah, I did that, but you're not going to get me for it. I'm not doing more time for it. So he was given 60 years.
You can't prove it.
Yeah, he was given 60 years for his crime.
Wow.
On the two women, the attempted murder, the burglary.
How old was he?
He was born in 53, so 1982. He was not good at math. We're going to take a brief intermission while I pull out my calculator. If you're having a good time, please.
486 million. What were you?
Oh, did that say that? Yeah. He was 29.
Okay, well, at least he's going to die in prison, probably.
Right?
6, 7, 8, yeah.
Yeah, he'll die in prison.
Oh my god.
So
I don't like the look you just gave me.
He was given 60 years for his crime, and when he was leaving the courtroom after the sentencing, he told the investigators standing by, he said, if they ever let me out, I'll kill again. This dude
Okay,
is
well, at least now we know.
At least now we know. You've admitted it. Thank you, Carl, once again. So, Mr. Watts is in jail now. And I think with anybody that goes to jail, he wanted out. He actually tried...
Oh no, this isn't another prison break, is it?
Well, I don't know. Well, we'll see. While he was there, he did have an attempt of escape once by... He tried to separate the bars. They didn't say specifically, so I'm going to guess he either tried, like, filing one of his bars down or somehow doing it to slip through them, but failed to do it. Yeah, or used his He-Man strength. Was like... Probably didn't do that, but I don't know. But he failed to slip through the bars and ended up going the legal route by filing appeals, which is obviously a lot smarter than trying to escape. So at this time he's been in jail for about 7 years, consistently working on these appeals through the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals. Now get this. Like I said, he's been in there for 7 years, and he gets a letter, some good news from the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, because he hadn't been making any progress with it. But they sent him a letter, and they said that because the judge that sentenced Watts did not inform him that the bathtub... Let me go back. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals said that because the judge that sentenced Watts did not inform him that the bathtub water that he was going to drown those two women in could be used as a deadly weapon, that he would not be required to serve his entire sentence for infringing on his criminal rights. That's correct. It was attempted murder because of the bathtub water. That is the only reason it was attempted murder. But they didn't tell him that in court. So yes, legally that infringes on his rights in a criminal setting.
My brain doesn't comprehend that. Like, stupidity. I don't get it.
Yeah, why the judge wouldn't tell him that, I don't know.
And like, what?
But yeah, because this judge did not inform Watts or whoever was defending him that the bathtub water was what the deadly weapon was, they infringed his criminal rights. So what happens after that, right? Watts was now...
Also, his
Go ahead,
attorney, yeah. I hate you. Just saying that.
Yeah. Or even the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals.
I hate you. I hate all of it.
Threw the letter out at that point. So, what happens with him now that he gets this letter, right? He was able to receive what they call retroactive good time served.
No.
So this means that every day that he had been in there was actually 3 days. So he'd been in jail for 7 years. I can't do the math on that, but I can tell you that this means he would be set to be released on May 9th, 2006 instead of May 9th, 2042. I
want to scream. I want to scream, and it's only because we're on recording that I won't do it.
I mean, he was sentenced in 1982, and instead of being set to be released in 2042, it's 2006.
And he killed how many? Like,
Admitted
who
to
knows how many people?
Admitted to well, he eventually ended up confessing to over 80 murders.
Right.
But only 13 of them were proved, but for him it was 80. So that's it. I'm just kidding.
You have more?
Yeah, there's more.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. So I know.
Tell me he just got beat up in prison every day.
We'll see what happens, man. We'll see. So in 2004, I'm glad they acted quick. This is 2 years before he was supposed to be released. Michigan Attorney General Mike Cox went on national television asking He went on national television asking for anybody to come forward with information in order to try to convict Watts of murder to ensure he was not released. Now, you might be asking yourself, like, how is that going to work? You know, whatever. But there was still all this stuff in Michigan that he confessed to and everywhere else that wasn't under that immunity. The 13 that he confessed, that was under immunity. So he was fine. But now they're like, okay, but we know he did this stuff in Michigan. So please, if anyone knows anything, come forward. This man, Joseph Foy. Shout out to Joseph Foy.
Ooh,
he was from
hero?
A hero in the story, yes. He was from Westland, Michigan. He came forward to say that he had seen a man fitting Watts' description murder Helen Dutcher.
Wait. What? No. Maybe you could have come forward with this a little bit earlier, but...
Dude, he looked just like him.
I saw a murder with my own eyes.
Yeah, it was like... I mean, she got stabbed 12 times, December 1st, 1979. Dude, it's 2004. You also might be sitting in the hot seat.
All right, Joseph Ford. Maybe he's not a hero.
Maybe he's not the hero. We're not laughing at any of the gruesome stuff.
No, we're laughing at the absurdity of this whole entire thing.
It's funny you say that because I actually didn't even think about that when I was reading this. I was like, yes, they got him. Dude. Man, it was like 25 years ago. I saw it. I didn't want to say nothing. I don't know what was going to happen. Yeah. But yeah. Listen, he didn't... Let me go back. He didn't see the murder happen. He just said but yes, also it does kind of sound like he's saying he saw this happen. All he said is he saw a man fitting Watts' description murder someone.
Oh my god.
Alright, we're gonna move on from here. So yeah, this happened December 1st, 1979. Foy identified Watts by his eyes, which he described as being evil and devoid of emotion. So like I said, although Watts had immunity from that prosecution for the 13 killings he admitted to in Texas, he did not have immunity agreement in Michigan. So now he's on trial again in 2004. But before that, law enforcement officials asked the trial judge to allow Texas confessions into evidence, to which they agreed. So Watts was promptly charged with the murder of Helen Dutcher. A Michigan jury convicted him on November 17, 2004, after hearing eyewitness testimony from Joseph Foy. December 7th, he was officially sentenced to life imprisonment. Woo! We got him. Gentlemen, we've got him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
2 days later, authorities in Michigan started making moves to try him for the murder of student. Oh my God.
That isn't the first time you've said that. Student.
2 days later, so December 9th, after his sentence of life imprisonment, authorities in Michigan started making moves to try him for the murder of Western Michigan University student Gloria Steele, who he stabbed to death in 1974.
Taking it all the way back. That was the first one, right?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, it was. You're correct, Mrs. The Watts trial for the Steele murder began in Kalamazoo, Michigan on July 5th, 2007.
Wow.
The closing arguments in that trial concluded July 26th. The following day, the jury returned a guilty verdict.
Ooh.
Thank God. Watts, once again, was sentenced to life imprisonment without parole.
He thought he got him. He thought he was like, I got away with that.
I'm good. I just beat a 60-year sentence. I'm cool. No. Because the guy that saw you murder someone
with his own eyes 25 years ago.
So yeah, on September 13th, he got the other life sentence without parole, and he was incarcerated at a maximum security prison in Ionia, Michigan, and had it. You know what? He had it coming. He actually died of prostate cancer on September 21st, 2007, at a hospital in Jackson, Michigan.
Huh. Kind of wish he would have lasted a little bit longer.
Yeah, we should got his
But
ass beat a little longer.
I'm glad he's dead.
So
I'll say it.
crazy story.
The world's better off without him.
Way better off. He said if I get out, I will kill again. He almost got out. He was 2 years from getting out.
That is insane. Gabe, that is a crazy story.
He's made a comment saying, "I'm depressed now."
You know.
Be happy though that he's gone.
Yeah.
Because this dude was evil.
Oh my gosh.
Now, I mean, I do want to go back, kind of summarize some stuff. He was my dad. I would hope not.
Oh my gosh.
Just to go back.
Back.
I like to talk about this a lot. Okay. Yeah, he was kind of weird growing up, had his problems and stuff. But the brain injury, right?
Yeah.
From the meningitis is kind of when it was shortly after that he became more impulsive, vicious
Yeah.
with the
Well,
attacking
and
the
he
woman.
was so young when he got it.
And he was so young.
Yeah.
So that prefrontal cortex suffered some damage.
I feel like that's like the theme of our entire podcast is like frontal cortex damage creates serial killers.
Creates it. I mean, Alexander Petrushkin, John Wayne Gacy, which I don't know if I'd ever want to cover that because that's just
Yeah, that's so dark and
really dark. But they suffered. They had trauma.
yeah.
And at a young age, of course. But I just, when I was reading this, you know, when I'm doing the research, I don't read the whole story through. I'm doing it as I'm reading it. And when I got to that part where he got that retroactive good time served, I was just like, no, dude,
Yeah.
what is going to happen? Like, this is so bad. When I got I can't get over the thing I didn't notice that until you said it. When he witnessed him murdering Joseph, could have stopped this a long time ago, dude. I don't know if they worded that wrong, but I don't know.
It's
I don't,
ridiculous.
yeah, but
well, better late than never.
yeah, I guess. I mean,
My goodness.
but it was definitely.
Gabe, that story was insane. I can't believe. I can't believe I've never heard of that either.
That's what I was
That
saying,
is
dude. How do you
crazy.
not? How does this not come up? Like, why do you? I don't know. Especially this. How do you hear about like Jeffrey Dahmer or Ted Bundy, but not this? Like, how do you not hear about this guy? How do you not hear about Samuel Little in the same effect that those guys did? Because they were doing.
It's so interesting too that you bring that up because I was thinking about that the other day when I was driving, and I can't remember exactly what triggered this thought, but I mean, it's just so interesting the cases that the media picks up and the cases that like get traction and the ones that don't. It's really interesting. Like, I've heard of so many insane cases that are just like a movie, like completely crazy, of ones that we've even covered on this podcast here today, or not today, but you know, and they have like no coverage, no widespread coverage. So it's not like, it's not that they're not interesting enough. It's just that like,
Well,
I don't know.
I will say this too. Maybe I'm wrong, but media tends to have a certain description and like certain picture they want to paint of people like this. And I'm just saying that, okay, how I just said with Samuel Little and this guy, they were both African American.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Which is kind of like, okay, I mean, is there some kind of like...
Were his victims mostly African American?
No, they were actually just Caucasian women. Ranging kind of just from anywhere from 17 to 63.
Interesting.
So I don't know if maybe there's like a race thing with who they want to cover on stuff like this. I don't know.
That
maybe I'm
probably
just...
has something to do with it.
I could be over speculating. I don't know. But that story was freaking nuts.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, when I was like, please tell me that this guy does not get out, because he said, I will kill again. He literally said, I will kill again. But that simple error that judge made by not stating on trial that you're being charged with attempted murder, and it's almost like the judge tried to trick him, because other than, how am I trying to say this? Because that's how he was going to do it. His main ways of killing people were strangulation, stabbing, and drowning. Now,
which that's really interesting in and of itself, that he has 3 different methods that he uses at whim.
Yeah. But it's just like the judge was almost just kind of saying, you can deny that you weren't trying to kill them, but I know you were trying to drown them in the bathtub, and that's why I'm saying you're being charged with attempted murder, but you're almost kind of accepting it, even though it's like, well, hold on, like, what did I even say that makes you think you're being charged for attempted murder? You get what I'm saying? Like, judges, at least in my head, it's like, well, the judge never said, when you tried to kill those women in that bathtub water, because he didn't say that. So, bad part on the judge for not doing that, because he never would have had that opportunity. And also kind of just goes to show, like, a flaw in parts of the legal system. Whatever. I mean, he still, luckily...
more than a few.
Luckily, he didn't get out, but if they wouldn't have... if our hero...
It got real close.
If our hero, Joseph Foy, wouldn't have stepped up...
Hey.
I mean, thanks anyways, man.
Round of applause for Joseph Foy for standing up at all. We could have used you a little bit earlier.
A little bit earlier.
Yeah.
About a quarter century.
Yeah,
But whatever. You do your thing.
A lot of lives could have potentially been saved, but, you came forward at when you did, so that's good.
Well, thank you guys, as always, for listening. You can come check out the live streams on Saturday and Sunday at anywhere from, I like to say, 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Twitch TV.
Announcements for when we go live are on our Instagram, which is at ClandestinePod. We didn't say Stefanucci's. Crap. Say it again. Just start from the beginning. Say it again.
You can check out our live streams on twitch.tv/Stefanuccis, and that's STEFANUCHIS.
And we go live like around 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We don't have a set time that we go live, but we always announce it on our Instagram, which is at ClandestinePod. We have a Facebook page at ClandestinePod. You can go ahead and go like. And we always upload the playbacks for the live streams on our YouTube channel. So if you want to see the magic happen, go do that. Keep in mind that those are unedited, and our audio that gets posted on Spotify and everything like that, that is edited down. So
yeah, and we just started doing that too, so it's fun. Something new to get to see us doing it unedited.
Yeah.
But thank you guys as always. I hope you enjoyed. Hope you're enjoying the stories all together.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Bye.
Bye.
Do. That was a juicer.
That was really good, Gabe.
Thanks.
Juice McGoose.
Juice McGoose. Story had me sweating towards the end.
You brought the juice goose. Oh, that was kind of loud.
No wonder your items are broken. Well,
guys, thank you for sticking with us all night, spending some time with us.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
That was a good time.
We really appreciate all the support.
And our newest subscriber, Chrissy.
Yeah, we love you.
Thank you for taking that money from Jeff Bezos and putting it to a good place. Really appreciate it.
We haven't, just to be fully transparent, we haven't, made any money off of the podcast. We might not ever, but if we ever do, I mean, this is just a hobby, it's just for fun, but if we ever do make any sort of money, all the money's going back into the podcast. So
yeah, honestly, you should see the chair Olivia's sitting in. It's literally like this old fucking green metal chair, and she has a pillow on the thing.
Gabe fell on it when he was a baby.
I did that.
Yeah, you can't see
You
it.
can't really see it, but they're like right here. I was like, hold up, it's like that. Wait, it's all reversed on the. Okay, there's a scar on my chin, and I fell on that chair and busted my chin open, and they had to use surgical glue because I guess they couldn't stitch it or something. So I hate that chair. But yeah, and also, you know what I'd love to get to eventually one day? Like you said, I do like saving up the stuff. Even like from playing WoW and RuneScape, like a lot of that I have saved. Like it's still on my PayPal and stuff. I'd love to get a new desk. Like this is a nice desk, but I just would rather have something more ergodynamic.
Yeah.
You know, but that stuff is really cool. But this, regardless, at the same time too,
it's
not
fun.
about money.
Yeah,
Not
no.
about fucking money. But
just so you know, it's going to a good place.
yep.
Yeah, I don't know. But
Well, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Sadly, we have to go back to the working world tomorrow.
ugh, gross.
Shame. Freaking shame. But thank you guys.
Are you
as
gonna
always.
stream? Are you gonna play games? Or do you wanna watch TV?
I'm gonna watch Breaking Bad.
I know, I wanna watch it too.
Alright.
Alright, we're gonna watch Breaking Bad.
Bye.
Bye.